Hello everyone and welcome to today's lesson at the Butterfly Princess Academy, where curiosity takes flight and wisdom wears wings. In today's lesson, I'm going to firstly be reading you an article from the March 2025 edition of the BBC History magazine. This week's article is about a historic recipe of stuffed aubergines. It is about how the this historic dish of stuffed aubergines, which is a rich meat-free dish that was devised in Renaissance Italy, is a flavoursome treat for Lent. Now, this week's article has been published in the March 2025 edition of the BBC History magazine, and it's been written by Eleanor Barnett, who is a food historian at Cardiff University. So firstly of all, I'm going to read you the article. It's only a short article this week. And then I'm going to read you some analysis and some questions about the dish of stuffed aubergine. So here goes. During the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church instituted Lent as a contemplative season of fasting and abstinence ahead of the indulgence of the feast of Easter. All animal products, not only meat, but also butter, cheese and eggs, were to be avoided throughout this time. Fish, however, slipped through the prohibiting net. Christian thinkers argued that by dint of living in water, fish had been spared the curse that, as recounted in Genesis, God put on the land so could be consumed legitimately on feasting days. Also, being associated with water, frogs, turtles and snails were often eaten during Lent too. Infamously, some Renaissance Christians justified the continued consumption of barnacle geese during the feasting period, based on the mistaken belief that these birds emerged from driftwood in the seas or from the filter-feeding crustaceans known as goose barnacles. Many devout Christians, though, stuck to a vegan diet. One suitable Lenten recipe was this dish of stuffed aubergines, posed by a famous Renaissance chef who worked in the kitchen of church elites in the 16th century Italy, even serving as personal cook for two popes. He compiled his recipes in the opera first published in 1570 in Venice, containing more than 1,000 dishes. It was the most extensive cookbook of its era and showcased, among other things, the type of refined Lenten dishes eaten by the wealthy across Italy. The aubergine, known in North America and Australia as eggplant, was a relatively newcomer to Italian diets at the time, having arrived probably via Moorish Spain. A staple in Muslim and Jewish diets. In Italy, it seems to have been associated initially with the Jewish people who arrived after their expulsion from the Iberian Peninsula at the end of the 15th century. Many people in early modern Europe viewed aubergines as a lowly and unhealthy food, suited only to the poor. The Italian word for aubergine derives from the Latin meaning mad apple, born of a folk belief that eating aubergines could drive someone mad. Their inclusion in Scappy's epic cookbook suggests that by the late 16th century, aubergines were starting to gain more widespread acceptance, in Italy at least. In Scarpy's recipe, hollowed out aubergines are stuffed with a mixture of aubergine flesh, nuts, herbs, grated bread, oil, and an acidic liquid made from unripe grapes. Lemon juice or white wine vinegar are good alternatives, creating a beautifully spiced, nutty, wholesome filling. The result dazzles as a vegan main with a side salad or as a side dish in a larger meal. Scappy suggests adding cheese and eggs to the stuffing on feasting days for additional flavour. Delicious though the dish is at its simplest, you'd certainly be forgiven today for serving the stuffed aubergine with a little grated cheese for some extra punch. And if you wanted to create this dish at home, you'd need the following ingredients. It takes 1.5 hours, and the ingredients include 3 aubergines, 20 grams each, grounded walnuts and almonds, 40 grams of breadcrumbs, 2 teaspoons each fresh coriander, sage and thyme, a quarter teaspoons each ground cloves and cinnamon, 2 garlic cloves diced, juice of half a lemon, 50 millilitres of olive oil, pinch each of saffron, salt and pepper, grated cheddar cheese, which is an optional ingredient. And the method are dehang and peel the aubergines, hollow out with a spoon and serve the flesh. Chop flesh into small pieces. Add 1 teaspoon each coriander, sugar and thyme, crushed walnuts and almonds, 20 grams breadcrumb, pinch of pepper, 1/4 teaspoon ground cloves, 25 millilitres of oil and a few squeezes of lemon juice. Stuff the aubergines with the mixture, place it upright in a large pan using cups of jars to keep them in place if necessary. Pour in water to half cover the aubergines, add 25 millilitres olive oil, pinches of salt and saffron, 1 teaspoon each coriander, sage and thyme, 1 diced garlic clove, sprinkle of pepper and 20 grams breadcrumbs. Cook 30 minutes with the lid off until the broth is reduced by roughly half and the aubergines are softened. Remove aubergines, cut in half lengthways, and pour the broth over them to serve. Top with grated cheese if you decide. So that concludes today's article, this week's article. Again, that has been written by Eleanor Barnett, who is a food historian at Cardiff University, and it was published in the March 2025 edition of the BBC History magazine. Now that I've read you the article, I would like to tell you a bit more about the dish. So, stuffed aubergines in Renaissance Italy, a Lenten invention. Historical and cultural context allows for an informed analysis of stuffed aubergines as a meat-free Renaissance dish, Lenten context and religious dietary practices. During the Renaissance, Lenten feasting rules prohibited meat consumption. prompting creative vegetarian dishes. Stuffed aubergines emerged as a sophisticated solution, combining available ingredients like aubergines, herbs, cheese, like mozzarella and breadcrumbs into a satisfying meal. The dish aligned with Catholic dietary restrictions while showcasing regional flavours. For example, Roman versions used cheese, while Sicilian literations occasionally included most meat post-Lent. Cultural exchange and agricultural adaptation. Aubergines arrived in Italy via Arab traders in the Middle Ages, but gained popularity during the Renaissance. Their meaty texture made them ideal for fasting periods. The dish reflects broader Mediterranean culinary exchange with parallels in a Turkish dish, stuffed eggplant with meat and leaf vegetarian preparations. Renaissance Italy's Jewish communities, who adhered to kosher dietary laws, may have further influenced meat-free eggplant recipes, as seen in broader culinary cross-pollution, symbolism, and social economic factors. Wealth depth. Using cheese, a luxury ingredient in stuffed aubergines, signalled affluence as dairy was costly and perishable. Seasonality. Aubergines thrived in Italy's summer climates, making them a logical Lenten ingredient despite their initial association with melancholy. Humours in medieval medicine. Regional identity. Variations like stuffed aubergines with chili or Roman cheese-filled versions highlighting local pride. Modern legacy. Today's recipes such as BBC Good Foods vegetarian stuffed aubergine with mozzarella and basil retain Renaissance elements while adapting to contemporary taste. Jamie Oliver's lentil stuffed version reflects modern plant-based trends. Conclusion. Renaissance stuffed aubergines exemplify how religious mandates, agricultural exchanges, and social stratification shaped Italian cuisine. This dish's endurance underscores its role as both a pragmatic Lenten staple and a canvas for culinary artistry. So here are some questions. So here are some questions about the dish. So as usual, I will read you out the questions and then I will give you the answers. So regional and dietary practices. How did Catholic Lenten fasting rules act as a catalyst for culinary intervention in Renaissance Italy beyond merely restricting meat? Why might stuffed aubergines have been considered a flavoursome treat during Lent, despite their initial association with melancholic humours in medieval medicine? In what ways did religious dietary laws intersect with social class? For example, how did the use of cheese reflect wealth during Lent? Cultural exchange and identity. How did Arab agricultural practices and trade networks influence the adaptation of aubergines in Italy? And why did it take until the Renaissance for them to become popular? What parallels might exist between Italian stuffed aubergines and similar dishes in in Ottoman or Levite cuisines, for example, Turkish traditions? And what does this reveal about Mediterranean culinary exchange? How might Italian and Jewish communities have contributed to the development of meat-free Renaissance dishes, given their own dietary laws and culinary traditions? Social, economic, and symbolic dimensions. Stuffed aubergines often include cheese, a perishable luxury. How did this ingredient transform the dish from a humble Lenten meal into a status symbol? Why did regional variations, for example, Roman cheese versus Sicilian meat additions post-Lent, become markers of local identity? How did seasonal and agricultural practices in Renaissance Italy shape the availability and use of aubergines for Lenten meals? Modern interpretations and legacy. How do contemporary plant-based movements mirror or diverge from Renaissance motivations for meat-free cooking? For example, religious obligations versus ethnic or environmental concerns. Why have stuffed aubergines endured in modern Italian cuisines, and what adaptations, for example, lentils, global spices reflect shifting culinary values? What challenges might historians face when reconstructing Renaissance recipes like stuffed aubergines, given gaps in historical records or evolving ingredient quality? Critical analysis on the article. If Barnett's article emphasises cross-cultural exchange, how might she address Eurocentric narratives that often overshadow Arab or Jewish contributions to Italian cuisine? How could historians use dishes like stuffed aubergines to challenge assumptions about medieval Renaissance diets being monotonous to uncreative? What broader conclusions might Barnett draw about the relationship between food, power, and identity in Renaissance Italy? So there are the questions. Here's the answers. So question one answer. Culinary intervention catalyst. Lenten rules spurred creativity beyond meat substitution. Cooks experimented with herbs, spices, and techniques like stuffing vegetables to create satisfying, visually appealing meat dishes. Aubergines, with their meaty textures, became a canvas for rich fillings like cheese and breadcrumbs, evaluating vegetarian meals to gourmet status. Question two answer. From melancholy to trust, despite medieval beliefs, Renaissance cooks transformed aubergines through Arab influenced spices and cheese additions. Lent's demand for flavoursome meat-free options repositioned the vegetable as a delicacy, aided by its adaptability to absorb rich flavours. Question three answer. Class and cheese. Cheese, a costly perishable luxury, signalled wealth. Its use in stuffed aubergines allowed elites to display status during Lent, while lower classes relied on cheaper ingredients like grains or greens. Question four answer. Arab influence in Renaissance adaptation. Arab traders introduced aubergines, but their popularity grew during the Renaissance due to shifting culinary attitudes and cross-cultural exchange. The vegetable's versatility aligned with Lenten needs, overcoming earlier medical stigma. Question five answer. Italian stuffed aubergines mirror Ottoman minus meat and levertine dishes, reflecting shared techniques across trade routes. This highlights a Mediterranean culinary where ingredients and methods transcend religious boundaries. Question 6. Answer. Italian Jewish communities bound by kosher laws likely pioneered meat-free recipes that influenced broader Renaissance cuisine. Their expertise in dairy-based dishes and preservation techniques enriched later menus. Question 7. Answer. Adding cheese transformed aubergines into a luxurious dish, showcasing access to expensive dairy. This evaluate Lenten meals from humble fasting fare to aristocratic fare. Question 8. Answer. Roman versions emphasised cheese reflecting papal authority, while Sicilian cooks added post-Lent meat, showcasing Arab-Norman fusions. These variations reinforce local pride and resource availability. Question 9. Answer. Aubergines, a summer crop, were preserved or grown in warmer regions for Lent. Their adaptation reflects adaptability to seasonal cycles and agricultural interventions. Question 10. Answer. Plant-based, unlike religious obligations, modern motivations are ethnical or environment, but both eras share creativity meat-free cooking. Renaissance techniques, for example, stuffing, inspire today's plant-based chefs. Question 11. Answer. Lentils, global spices, balance tradition and trends. Aubergines remain popular for their versatility, bridging heritage and contemporary tastes like veganism. Question 12. Answer. Sparse records evolved ingredients, e.g. Malga eggplants and lost techniques complicate accurate recreation. Historians must interpret vague descriptions and courtinize recipes within period practices. Question 13. Answer. Barnett likely underscores Arab and Jewish contribution, challenging the myth of an insular Italian cuisine, highlighting trade and cultural exchange, corrects oversights in traditional narratives. Question 14. Answer. Dishes like stuffed aubergines disprove assumptions of monetary. Their complexity, spicing, stuffing, baking reveals a sophisticated and dynamic food culture. Question 15. Answer. Barnett might argue that cuisine mirrored social hierarchies, for example, elites versus peasants, regional rivalries and hybrid identities. Food was a tool for displaying power and negotiating cultural exchange. Rhetorical questions. So again, I will read you out the answer, the question, and then I will read you out the insight. So, rhetorical questions. Who could imagine that a season of scarcity would birth a feast of intervention? Insights. Lenten restrictions rather than stifling creativity became a catalyst for Renaissance chefs to reimagine artistry as opulence. The paradox of fasting, transforming humble ingredients like aubergines into lavish dishes, reveals how culinary boundaries often inspire breakthroughs. Next rhetorical question. Is it possible that a vegetable once deemed melancholic became a symbol of piety and pleasure. Insights. The Renaissance rebranding of aubergines underscores the interplay between science, humour, theory and culture. By embracing Arab spices and cheeses, Italians turned a medical oddity into a Lenten delicacy, proving that food taboos are often rewritten by necessity and integrity. Next rhetorical question. What if the aubergine is not Italian at all, but a silent diplomat of Mediterranean exchange? Insight. The journey of aubergines from Arab trade routes to Renaissance tables challenges the myth of authentic national cuisines. Dishes like of cross-cultural dialogue where Ottoman techniques and Jewish kosher laws practice subtly shaped Italian identity. Next rhetorical question. Could a single stuffed vegetable unite the flavour of Sicily, Rome and the Levites? Insights. Regional variations in stuffed aubergines reflect Italians' fragmented politics and unfound gastronomy. The dish's adaptability, cheese in papal Rome, chili in Arab-influenced Caribbean, mirrors how food transcends borders with anchoring local pride. Next rhetorical question. When a peasant's crop is stuffed with cheese, does it fill the body or the egg? Insides. Cheese-laden aubergines were edible status symbols, turning Lenten meals into displays of wealth. This duality, nourishment and performance reveals how Renaissance food culture weaponized piety to reinforce class hierarchies. Next rhetorical question. Why did a summer vegetable become the start of spring fasting? Insights. Aubergines' Lenten prominence highlights Renaissance agricultural pragmatism, preservation techniques, drying, farming and greenhouse experiments allowed seasonal ingredients to defy calendars, showcasing early sustainability efforts. Rhetorical question. Are today's plant-based chefs the heirs of Renaissance furs? Insight. Modern veganism and Lenten cooking share an ethos of constraint-driven creativity, yet diverge in motive. Piety versus planetary efforts. Both, however, prove that innovation thrives when tradition is questioned. Next rhetorical question. Can a 16th century stuffed aubergine recipe survive in a world of avocado toast? Insight. The dish's endurance, reimagined with lentils or harissa, reflects timeless versatility. Its evolution mirrors globalization's paradoxes. The more we innovate, the more we crave edible connections to the past. Rhetorical question. Why did the Arab gardener or Jewish cook vanish from Italy's culinary origin stories? Insights. Eurocentric historians often erase non-Christian contributions, framing Italian cuisine as pure Renaissance intervention. Reclaiming these voices corrects the record, revealing cuisine as a collaborative art shaped by marginalised communities. Rhetorical question. What if our plates hold more truth about power than our history books? Insights. Stuffed aubergines, luxurious yet humble, local yet global, embody Renaissance Italy's social tensions. Analysing who ate what and why exposes how food placed identity, celebrated hybridity and quality restrained dogma. Conclusion. Final thoughts. The story of Renaissance stuffed aubergines is more than a clever footnote. It is a testament to humanity's ability to transform constraints into creativity, continuity into splendour. Born from the astute demands of Lent, this dish became a canvas for cultural exchange, social economic expansion, and gastronomic artistry. It reminds us that food is never merely substance, it is a language of power, identity, and memory, whispered across generations and geographies. From Arab traders introducing aubergines to Italian soil, to Jewish cooks refining meat-free techniques, to Renaissance elites flaunting wealth through cheese stuffed displays. The dish embodies a mosaic of voices often erased from Eurocentric narratives. It endures into modernity, reimagined with lentils, chilies, or vegan cheese. Proves that culinary traditions are not static relics, but living dialogue between past and present. Inspiration and reflection. Necessity is the mother of innovation. That is a quote from Plato. The Lenten kitchen, bound by rigid rules, birthed dishes that transcended palaces to become art. What limitations in your own life might expect unexpected interventions? Food is the ultimate diplomat. It crosses borders without a passport. Stuffed aubergine shaped by Arab, Jewish, and Italian hands challenge the myth of pure culinary traditions. How might embracing hybrid enrich our understanding of heritage? Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you who you are. Every bite of ripen holds a universe, the piety of Lent, the pride of regional rivalry, the quiet labour of forgotten cooks. What stories do your own meals tell? The only constant in life is change. Just as aubergines evolved from medical oddity to Renaissance delicacy, our challenge today, climate inequality, cultural division, demand adaptive culinary creativity. What aubergines might we reinvent for a new era? Closing. As we savour the legacy of Renaissance stuffed aubergines, let it inspire us to see constraints as catalysts, diversity as strength, and every meal as a chance to rewrite history, one plate at a time. One plate at a time. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that concludes today's lesson at the Butterfly Princess Academy, where curiosity takes flight and wisdom wears wings. I would like now to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining me for today's lesson at the Academy, and I hope very much that you will be able to join me again for future lessons in the very near future. But until next time, take care, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye for now.